Yay. All the arriving things that it takes to get here, both on my end of sorting out technology and on your end in sorting out technology. And I always think that arriving to a yoga class is the first and most important posture. It's the first and most important step of the class, the most important moment you got here. And many of you know, and if you don't know, this week was launch week for a really special experience for me, which is that I published a card deck. I had some help from a team of designers to create something really beautiful. And this was 3 years of a vision in the making. And I have a really funny little box opening video that you can find on YouTube and watch if you haven't seen it yet. But basically, I had a vision of doing something with my photos and been getting requests to do something with my photos. And this was the vision. And it took a while to find the team to help me create the vision of beautiful images that are accompanied by this guidebook that also, the whole thing kind of goes with the post-traumatic growth guidebook, which is a much larger format that guides through a hero or heroine's journey. And I know many of you have read that. And so this is a pictorial journey, and then each card has a reading associated with it. And so I will put the link in that to the chat and in the comments when you catch this on video as well. In the meantime, what I thought I would do today is I chose a card for today's class to kind of both celebrate this moment of showing up in this way for myself, because I feel like there was a long time in which, for me, I felt like it was safer to be in hiding. And I don't think I'm alone in that journey. There's ways in which, if we have historical experiences, are you hearing me okay? Okay, good. If we have, good, I was like watching people come forward. But it's, if we have, historical experiences of wounds of not belonging, of wounds of feeling in some way or another different than, or wounds of feeling criticized and looked at in a critical lens through someone else's eyes, I think we can internalize that. And that certainly was elements of my own historical experience. And in order to cope with those wounds, I made myself smaller. I didn't feel comfortable speaking in public or showing up in public formats. And it's been a journey of reclaiming for myself that willingness and that capacity to show up and to feel comfortable having my voice and to trust that, yeah, there's always going to be people that are critical out there. That's just part of life, but that's not who I'm speaking to, right? And that it's okay to share my heart with people that are going to welcome that and receive. And I share that personal journey also in hopes that it's an inspirational one for any of you that are walking that journey of wanting to be more visible or feel more included in community spaces, or have your worth and your value recognized. That's what this entire card deck for me is about that journey of coming back out of the depths and into a willingness to share our gifts and to share your gifts as well. So I was just grabbing that link for you. I'm going to stick that in the chat. And then I want to share more about the card that I chose for today. Okay. So today's card is, and title of the class is called Out of the Shadows. Title of the class is called Out of the Shadows Shine. And the Out of the Shadows card, if you can see it here, is a photo that I took of our mountain backdrop that I can see out my window here on one of those days where the edge of the clouds was completely marked with a rainbow. And as the clouds were lifting, there was this edge of the rainbow that was stunning, right? And Each of these each of these cards for me marks a moment and a memory and a story. And I think sometimes, and especially yesterday, for any of you that saw the photo that I posted on Facebook yesterday, sometimes the clouds are completely obscuring our view. They can be still beautiful, but we can forget that that sun is still shining on the other side. And then we see the silver lining or that rainbow edge, and we start to see that reminder of the emergence back of our light. And of course, it's such a mirroring of our own process of where our own light can be obscured and clouded from our view. And what happens as we prepare to let that be seen again. So the reading for that card in here goes like this. Healing from trauma allows you to share yourself with the world in a real and authentic way. You have been clearing away the layers that were hiding your true self. Now, your capacity to sense your body in the present allows you to welcome all of your emotions, even the ones that you previously rejected. As you emerge out of the shadows, your light begins to shine. An effortless grace emanates from within you. Living as your authentic self inevitably serves as an invitation for others to feel safe in your presence. What supports you to shine your light? And you can take a moment, you can reflect on that question if you'd like. You might even journal about it for a moment, and you can take that, if you'd like, as an intention to the mat today of what supports you to shine your light. I have also partnered today's class with a poem, as I often do. This poem is not mine. This poem is by Andrea Gibson. If you don't know Andrea Gibson is Colorado's poet laureate and a phenomenal poet. Their pronouns they, them. They are a phenomenal human as well as poet, and certainly worth knowing about them. And I have their book, which I would hold up, except that my daughter stole it. And it's called You Better Be Lightning. And so this poem by Andrea Gibson is called Shine. I was once told the story of a shaman who woke every single morning of his life crying for all the world's sorrow. And yet every day he would rise and shine bright. He would walk the path from morning to night, when he would light the night sky with the stars that would shine inside his dreams. And for every hell he saw, he made himself become the hope that tugged the rope that rang the bell in the steeple of the people's hearts. He would part the seas of greed with the outstretched hands of his giving, replacing the hate with the most amazing grace this world has ever seen. A week ago, another war started, and there wasn't a poem inside me that wasn't crying. There wasn't a poem inside me that didn't pound with the sound of 1,000 bombs screaming to where the children on the ground were dying. And I didn't want to speak, and I didn't want to sleep because I don't want to wake to another morning of mourning so many. When already tombstones had paved as many prairies as highways had, and the traffic was backed up to my heart. And I didn't know where to start, like it was all too much, like I could never reach to touch a healing hand to the wounds the world stood so brutally branded with. Like I could never find the strength to lift a prayer of faith beneath it all. And I felt so small, felt like we were all so small, too small to even knock a dent into the door that holds the hateful hinges of this war. And a week ago, I almost wanted to give up. But then I remembered the story of the man who lived his life as a light through even the darkest nights. And his eyes held the song of the dawn, and his sorrow was the thing that kept him moving on, kept him building a better tomorrow. I remember the story, and somewhere behind everything inside me that had felt so small, behind every voice inside me that was doubting, came a voice behind that, loud and proud, like my grandmother's voice, shouting, "What do you mean you're small? Of course you're small. We're all small, but we are small, like the moon is small in the sky, and not a wave would ever find its way to shore without us. We are all as small as a single tide. But if that tide were to ever stop, the entire ocean would freeze in shock, and nothing in it would survive. We are all small, like the notches on the line that will one day wind the revolution through every gutter in this world. Then it's time we start believing in our power, because the darkest hour will only come if we refuse to flower, the light that has always burned inside us. Bright. So decide, what would you die for? And then live every moment of your life like you were born into this life just to save it. Knowing the light at the end of the tunnel is the fire of your faith, so never put it out. And every time you start to doubt, listen to the cries of everyone who has come before you, pushing you on. They know there has never been a bomb built that can wilt the petals of your power. When you allow yourself to bloom, when you bloom, there will be no room for anything else. Gandhi said, "You must be the change that you wish to see in the world, so you've been curled up and sad. Good. Depression is the first blessing. It means you've been in tune. But now the moon is waiting for you to burn bright. And there has never been a time when your light was needed more. Never a time like this before." Yes, you are small. We are all as small as a single breath, but tied to the rest. We are all the life of the world, the pulse that turns rocks to pearls. Inside the darkness of their shells. So become the well where wishes are born. Become the bell that rings when even the birds refuse to sing. Become the wings that fly. And every time you're full of sorrow, every time you wake up crying, know that that day is a perfect day to shine. All right. That was worth a little pause. And let's do some movement together, shall we? It's going to feel so good. Come onto your mat. I'll meet you there. Speaking of shining, the sun is peeking through our cloudy morning, and I'll give myself a little bit more inner light. All right, we're going to start seated, and the starting point here of our flow is going to feel familiar, and as it should, and how lovely to be here together. So come on in and drop into what your why is for today. What is your intention? Why have you shown up for this precious time together? Allowing yourself to draw in the words of the poem, the intention that I'm offering for today around shining bright. And good. And then as you feel ready, perhaps begin to just make contact palm to palm. As you do so, sensing your breath, the invitation to come in, to be just a little bit more present to this moment now, the only place where healing gets to happen. And then if you'd like, bringing your hands to your face, making contact across your forehead, your cheeks. It can be a light touch. You might find a little bit of pressure point massage around your eyebrows, your cheekbones, towards your ears, just waking your face up, that endpoint that meets the interior of your body and helps to greet the world. You can take hands to opposite arms, shoulders down to elbows, havening touch, a self-hug, a welcoming yourself into the safe haven of your practice. And for today's sake, I'm going to invite that havening touch all the way down legs to feet. And remember, everything's optional. You can opt out of anything that doesn't feel right for you. You can do one leg at a time or both together, greeting the soles of your feet and the skin suit you're wearing, we call a body. Just allowing yourself to welcome all of you in. And feeling that container that your body provides for the interior of you. Beautiful. Stick with anything longer if you'd like. Otherwise, I'm going to guide us into a little bit of seated cat-cow, seated spinal movement. And you can do this in a chair, on a couch, in your bed, just allowing yourself to find some movements forward, back with your spine, inhaling. Exhaling, simple movements. You can keep your hands on shins or knees. And just feeling how your spine is today. It's going to give you some feedback through ease or feedback through tension. And you pay attention. Allowing yourself to sense where there's tightness is going to be an important guide for your practice. Good. And then as you continue this movement, I'll invite you to take hands to shoulders and still with that seated spinal movement, opening your elbows, exhale, elbows come together. You can tuck your chin and maybe even lift your chin on the inhale pattern. And we call this robin's breath, your arms like the gentle wings of the robin. And this reminder of the rhythms of opening and closing, of expansion and contraction that we're all moving through like the tides. You might even let a sound out with the exhale. Ah. And again. Ah. And then perhaps opening your arms like giant wings, just fanning your body with fresh prana, fresh energy. Good. And then with your arms out, I'm going to invite you just to start to get to know the joints of your arms. The wrists, you can roll them out in one way and the other. Your elbows, your shoulders. Just allowing yourself to be a little wiggly in that rotational spiral movements of your joints. And then we'll get a little more linear. I'll invite you to draw both arms up overhead. And exhale to one side. We're not staying there. We're going to just move with the breath. Inhale to center and exhale the other way. And what I like about these opening twists is that there's nothing forced. You're really allowing your spine to be the guide that helps you really listen to your range of motion. One more each side. And then when you feel even, coming back to center. From here, I'll invite you to find another spiral movement of your spine. This time, just a kind of seated rotation around your pelvis. Inhaling forward, exhaling back. And you can again find your range of motion. And I invite you to sense the three-dimensionality of your body going the other direction. Inhale forward, exhale back. And as you exhale, drawing the navel back towards your spine, creating a massage across your digestive organs. And again, with that three-dimensionality, sensing the bowl of your pelvis, like you're on the potter's wheel. And then coming back through to center, pausing for a moment to receive. Lots of movement as we've started out here. And these pauses are an invitation to catch up to yourself by sensing and feeling what's happening now. Coming back perhaps to your intention. I'll offer up the invitation to come out of the shadows, to let yourself shine, to let your light shine. And we'll come back into some movement. We're still in the spiral movement series this time. I'll invite you to take your right leg, right foot around the ankle. Now, sometimes we're holding the leg. Today I'm leaning back. I'm going to allow the leg to be kind of free floating. If you want your hands there, go for it. Another option here is to find a little balance as you do the joint rotations. And then we're going into the shin. So you can just kind of allow yourself to feel that core online as you're moving through your leg. Beautiful. And you just find your range of motion, each direction. Beautiful. And then going into the hip circles. And again, you can use your hands or you can allow your leg to be self-supported in the dance. And in the other direction. Nice thing about this is we're not here too long, right? Okay. And then from here, we're going into deer. Now, many of you have done this with me. If you're new, welcome to these shapes. Deer is right knee to the inside of your left foot, right foot behind. And we're going to find those twists and turns here. And you can do this either with maybe left hand on the floor, right arm reaching, or you might explore this one hands free. And no right, no wrong. Each brings a different set of sensations, wakes up different parts of your body. Beautiful. And we're going to play around here with some shifting in and out of this shape. So deer is our ground. leaning into left hip to bring right leg up and around like a seated spinal twist. And then just allow yourself to, hands free, twist toward the right. And then leaning into left hip, allow your right leg to go behind, and we twist to the left. And now we're going to just go breath and movement here. Up and over, up and around. Inhale, exhale, inhale, exhale. And leaning into left hip, something new, taking your right leg long. And then again, a hands-free invitation, although you can always adapt this, make it yours, just to find a little bit of that same rotational movement of your spine, new position of your legs. And you can even lean over your right leg and come back like a wave. Just getting to know the right hamstring, hip flexors in this sequence. Beautiful. And coming back up to sitting. We'll find all of that on side 2. And your variant, you can lean back on your hands can support your leg, or you have a hands-free variation. Rotating foot, one direction, and the other way. And allowing your shin to go around your knee. So I was sharing earlier before we started the recording that today's class has some challenges, maybe, kind of like an invitation to challenge yourself. And you always are going to be the one listening to you. Let's find those hip circles. So you can add in as much support, and you can experiment with the challenges that I offer. But remember that you have to really listen to yourself along the way, especially that I can't see all of you, yeah? And then we're going to go into deer. There's a few things coming in the chat. I'm just checking to make sure everyone's okay. Good. Yes, there's always recordings. Okay, come on. So let's come into this deer, left side back. And with this first deer, just staying here a little bit longer. So you might bring that right hand to the ground. You might reach through your left arm, or you might experiment even here with this little spinal movement. And this side. And then we're going to experiment with leaning into right hip. Left leg lifts up and around. You can always use your hands for that transition. And then we're twisting to the left. Good. And just experimenting again with that range of motion only facilitated by your spine and core. And we'll come in and out. So allowing yourself to take the left leg back, we turn, and we come in and around. And up and around. And up and around. Beautiful. And the next time we come up around, go ahead and take your left leg long. And now is this beautiful opportunity is to move your spine, rotate around your legs, reach over your left leg. You're kind of carving out these shapes from deep within the core of you. And remember that there's no goal to achieve. It's going for sensation. Let's go ahead and bring both feet toward each other. So now we're in a little diamond shape. And just allowing yourself to rotate upper body around your legs. And one more time, the other direction, upper body around your legs. From here, bring both feet out in front, and we're going to shift deer side to side. So just allowing yourself to have a little bit of a side to side motion and let it feel good. Good. Nice little twist. And again, a little hands-free moment. You can always make it a hand-supported moment with your hands behind you or one hand at a time. And then again, somewhat of a familiar shape, and I apologize for those technological distractions there. Go ahead and come back through to center. We're going to come down onto our backs and follow the same little rhythm here. Just letting your knees fall one direction and the other. And you can take this nice and slow. You can roll onto one shoulder and the other. And I often think of this shape like an animal rolling on its back in the grass, and just let it feel good. And then when you're ready, coming back to center and another worthy pause. You can take feet out to edges of your mat. You can allow your knees to flop in toward each other, hands on your belly. Sensing and feeling and gathering yourself upon this moment. And checking in, our next leg of our journey, our next phase here is going to go into strengthening the core. Is that right for you today? Would you like to join in on that? If so, I'm going to invite you to take right ankle over your left thigh here, starting out with left foot on the floor and hands behind your head. Inhale here and exhale, lifting straight up toward the ceiling. And inhale down, and just moving rhythmically here for yourself with your breath. Good. And then you can stay like this, or you might take left foot off the floor, lifting through upper body once again, straight up toward the ceiling. We're going to twist toward the right in a moment, but just letting yourself feel this engagement. Before now, let's go ahead and take it toward the right knee. And it's kind of shoulder toward knee rather than folding the elbow, and really feeling this come from your core, from your obliques, your side body. All of this is going to be so helpful, beneficial when we come up to standing. 2 more here. And then coming through to center, before we go to side 2, we're going to bicycle this out for a moment. Elbows to knees, and again, it's more like shoulder toward your knee, keeping your knees stacked above your hips, and you get to choose your level of challenge. Maybe you exhale through the mouth. And then through to center, let's lower it all down for a moment. And we'll find it on side 2, this time left ankle on top of your right thigh, keeping your right foot down to start. We're going straight up toward the ceiling. Inhale down, exhale to lift. And then maybe taking right foot off the floor. Again, straight up toward the ceiling. Maybe you're starting to feel those muscles of your core getting warm, maybe even getting a little fiery. That tapas, that fire in the belly. And then taking right shoulder towards your left knee. And then coming through to center, this time feet together. We'll do a few of what I refer to as clam shells. Maybe today they're oyster shells. Some of you know the reference to that right now. We're going to take elbows and knees together. Inhale, we're going to open it up. And remember, in that oyster is the grit that becomes the pearl. So right at the center of your being, your core, in your belly, in your heart, in the center of your brain, all lighting up to guide your way. Not a lot of these. Go ahead and release down. Hands behind your knees. We're going to do something a little different as we roll today. So go ahead and keep your feet together. It's a little bit of a variation of a Pilates seal. We're not going to do the foot clap per se, but I am going to invite you to take your arms out if you so choose and just experiment with rolling back and coming up and finding a little balance on your sits bones or just behind them. And then rolling. And can you let this be playful? I know it's challenging, but what happens when you let yourself fall out of it? Oh, I couldn't get back up. That's okay. All right, let's do one more. Gorgeous. And then come up and over your shins, and we'll meet in a tabletop. Tabletop opportunity for some free flow. And if you're wanting a moment of pause and reset, you push back into child's pose. If you're wanting to move your body, allowing yourself to imagine that you are your favorite animal just waking up from a nap. Let it be organic and natural, guided by your sensations, both feelings of ease and being curious about those pockets of tension. What happens when you wrap yourself around them? Breathe into it. Beautiful. So you can stick with your free movement. I'm going to guide us through some movement again, and you can opt in or out. Choose your own adventure, right, from last time. So the first opportunity here is to lift head tail on your inhale, like a cow pose. And then on your cat pose, as you round your spine, press into your feet, hover your knees. And then lower down. Let's find our cow and our hovering cat. One more like that. And hovering cat. Beautiful. Next guided experiment here is to take your left leg back, your right arm forward, and to balance for a moment. Experiment with what wakes up in your core to support this shape. Good. And then from here, inhale, you can lift arm, leg. Exhale, draw it all together under your body. Inhale, reach. Exhale, under. Listen carefully, this next one's a little different. Inhale, reach. And exhale, bending elbow, knee. Inhale, reach. Exhale. It's like a cactus arm. Good, there you go. And we'll do that again. We reach long, and then we kind of cactus each out to the side. Okay, reach and then let that go. Wiggle that out for a moment. That's one of our chosen challenges if you're opting in, and you can let that side go. Let's find that on side 2, sending your right leg back, your left arm forward, experimenting what it takes to find balance here. And on an exhale under your body, inhale to reach. Exhale underneath. Inhale to reach. And now our funky movement. Exhale to the sides. Inhale. Exhale, both arm and leg bend. Doesn't matter if it's down here, right? You just experiment. Reach. Let's do it one more time. Whew. A little challenge there. Reach, descend, and your free flow. Letting that go. The hip mobility that we're playing with today is going to show up again and again. So just let yourself kind of get to know it. Our next invitation is to come up into a variation of downward dog. And so like we did before with table, except this time I'm going to invite you to tuck your toes under. I'm going to invite you to lift your knees off the mat. And then keeping your legs bent, find a long spine. So you can experiment with coming in and out, maybe shifting the distance of hands to feet. And long spine, bent knees, we'll call this a crouching tiger. Just a different feeling and allowing yourself to really experiment with that length of your spine here. Head can be heavy. And then from here, begin to lengthen out through the backs of your legs. You can even lift all the way up onto your tippy toes before reaching your heels, and then walking out through your legs. One heel, the other. Good. And then I'll invite you to take your right leg behind you and bending your knee, just find some hip circles here. So we've been playing with hip circles in a variety of different shapes. You can take it the other way. You might even open your hips, stacking right hip above your left. And then eventually stepping right foot forward into a low lunge. In this low lunge shape, this is yours once again. And you might use blocks or not, but just allow yourself to come in and out of your lunge. Experiment with a first time in a lunging shape in this practice. What's your left hip flexor have to say about it? Your right hamstring. Good. And then from our low lunge, I'm going to invite you to walk yourself up so that you're kind of upright on top of your left knee. And if you need a little padding underneath your left knee, go ahead and place a pillow, or you can double pad your mat there. And I'll invite you to untuck your left toe. So you've got a kind of shin resting place here. And in this, you can once again maybe come in and out, get to know your body in this shape. Maybe you lift your arms, let your heart shine. And added challenge, if you so want it, is to experiment for a moment with what happens if you lean into that left leg and take what we'll call here praying mantis, okay? A little balance play. Your arms can be out to the sides, and it's a little bit like being on a tightrope. Just let yourself play with it, and then come on out when you're done. It's funky, right? But that's okay. Go ahead and bring your hands down. And from here, I'm going to invite you to start to lean your weight into your right foot so that you can step your left foot forward. Now we're not straightening the legs yet. We're not fully in a forward fold. Go ahead and send your right foot back and come shin, left foot back to meet it, shin, and you can even sit for a moment. We're going to do just that little bit again. From a table, right foot forward, left foot forward, right shin back, left shin back. Okay. Added challenge, only if you want it. Hands to heart. Right foot forward, left foot forward, right foot back, left foot back, and rest. One last time. Right, right, left, left. Planting your hands down, tucking your toes, lifting your knees. Crouching tiger, sending your spine long, adjust your stance as needed. And then lengthening through the backs of your legs, maybe lift up to your tippy toes and back down. Let it feel good. All right, from here, left leg to lift, bending your knee, finding those hip circles. One direction, the other way. Maybe you open your hips, you stack them, and eventually you step forward into a low lunge, and this is yours. In and out, make it yours. Let it feel good. And then eventually coming up, stacking up onto your right knee. You can find a little 90-90. You can untuck through your right toes in preparation for our little praying mantis play. Some of you have been with me for a long time. We've done this before. So a little balance play. So hence why we did all the core work earlier. You're going to feel that those muscles are going to light up to help you come in and out of balance. And it's okay if you fall. The ground is not far away. Playing here, and then eventually we're going to lean into the right foot. You can use your hands the first few times. Leaning into your left foot. We're going to step right foot forward, left back, right back. You can sit back. We can find that again. Left foot forward, right foot forward, left back, right back. Rest. You can stay in rest. You might choose to do this hands free. Left, right, left, right. Rest. Again. Left, right. I told you we had some playful challenges. Let it be an invitation to shine a little bit. I'm sweating over here in Colorado. Okay, come on out. Let's come into our downward dog one more time here. And you can find that crouching tiger inroad if you'd like, or just make your way into downward dog. Walking it out, maybe wiggling your hips side to side. And then walking your feet wide to the edges of your mat, bending both knees deep once again, walking your hands toward your feet. You will either be in a high lunge or a low lunge. Neither is better nor worse. Just depends on hip mobility and your body and lots of things like knees and ankles, okay? In one form or another, letting yourself reach towards the realms of potential as you press down into earth to lift up towards the sky. We're going to gather, 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 come back, high lunge, high squat, low squat, reach, bring that earth with you as we come all the way up to standing. And here we are, first time standing in this practice. How are you doing? Good chance to check in with yourself. Recollect all of your sensory awareness. to body, mind, emotions, intention. Beautiful. From here, just an invitation into a little bit of balance play once again. So standing on your, I'll call it left leg, it doesn't matter, we're doing both, but we'll go ahead and take right leg up and find just a few of those ankle rotations in each direction. And shin rotations, you can always use a windowsill or a chair, the top of a couch. Go ahead and find your hip. So we've done all of this sitting. It's just a different relationship to gravity and certainly more balance. Good. And then from here, let's go ahead and take right leg behind the left in what we'll call a little curtsy lunge. You can even take your hands behind you, kind of flying back. And then as we lift up and out, go ahead and bring your right foot over. We were in figure 4 on our backs, finding it standing. We're going to come in and out again, up and around, behind, a little curtsy dance, up and around, over, into a figure 4. One more time. Inhale, exhale, and then let's bring both feet to the floor and pausing in between, sensing left and right sides of your body, sensing your heartbeat. Good. All right, let's find all of that on our second side. So now right leg is standing, and you can start with those joint rotations. Left leg, just a revisiting of a familiarity with a different balance element. And take the hip circles. Whee! Your arms are handy in supporting balance. Good. And then from here, let's take left foot behind, little curtsy dance. And then up, and around, and over. This is my harder balance side, apparently. And go ahead in a figure 4, and around, and behind. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. One more time. Woo. Good. And then go ahead and let that go. You might even shake it all out. What happened, what didn't happen, doesn't matter because it's over now. And we're back in this present moment, I'll invite you to come towards the front of your mat if you're not there, and maybe returning to intention. I invite you to come out of the shadows to let your light shine. Inhale, sweeping your arms overhead. Exhale into a forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, folding again, planting your hands, stepping back, high plank. Maybe lowering knees, chest and chin, and all the way to the earth, to the floor. Some rolling cobras here. Your choice, how much height of your heart, your chest, how much weight in your hands, moving with your breath. Good. These rolling cobras are yours. 2 more. And then from here, pressing into hands, maybe a brief visit into child's pose. You can decide if you want to stay there. And meeting in downward facing dog if that's right for you. When you feel ready, if you feel ready, making your way forward, walking there, hopping, jumping, and from a forward fold, finding a halfway lift. Exhale. Inhale all the way to standing. Exhale, forward fold. We're going right back into round 2. Inhale, halfway. Exhale, hands plant, stepping back. Option here down to the earth for cobra or halfway down, rolling over your toes, maybe upward facing dog. And exhale, downward facing dog. And then once again, you can rest, you can stay, you can call it a day, or you can hop forward or step forward. We'll meet at the top of the mat. Finding a halfway lift when you get there. Exhale to fold. Inhale all the way to standing. And this time exhale into Utkatasana. Utkatasana, chair pose, sitting yourself back. Inhale, sweeping your arms up and finding your depth, finding the depth of this shape for you today. You might gaze forward, you might even lift your gaze. Inhaling here and exhale and moving with the breath. A great place to let something go. Anything that's been holding you back, maybe some of those cloudy layers, those doubts, the shame. One more like that. And inhale, sweeping up. Exhale, slowing it down, sweeping your arms down and back, pausing here, maybe lifting both your heels, a little balance once again. And then settling your heels down. Inhale, sweeping your arms up. Exhale, listen carefully. We're going to sweep the arms back. This time, left leg is coming with you. Inhale, up into, we'll call this parachute, lifting your right leg, or your left leg only. Exhale into that curtsy that we found before, back and behind. Beautiful. Inhale, lifting up and around. Exhale, figure 4. Ooh. If you come out of balance, that's okay. Inhale, back through parachute, lifting your left leg with you. Exhale, we're going to step back. Big move here, stepping into the unknown, trusting that the earth is there to support you. It's back there waiting for you. Beautiful. And inhale, invitation to come up, 5-pointed star. Wiggle it out. Come back to breath. And then inhale from here. Exhale, turning toward your right foot into warrior 2. The familiarity of a shape that's perhaps offers a little bit of ground or comfort, the known inside of the unknown. Inhale, reaching away. Exhale, extended side angle. Your variation, however you want to make this yours today. Let it feel good. A long line from the outside edge of your left foot to your left fingertips. Inhale, reaching up and away, this time lengthening through your right leg, a little micro bend if you need it. You can even shorten your stance. And exhale your way into Trikonasana triangle. You can take your hand down to shin, to ankle, to a block. Gaze might be down to the side or lifted. And then softening your gaze, softening through your right knee, and inhale to lift up and out. And an exhale to come down to a low lunge. From this low lunge, invitation to take your left knee down. Inhale here. Exhale, maybe a little bit of play, balance, praying mantis. I wore my green outfit today to fit the part. Kidding, it fits. All right, and then landing your right foot, maybe hands free, left foot forward, coming up to standing. Exhale, we'll pause for a moment between sides, just letting yourself sense, feel, cool off, get a drink of water. Good. Thanking yourself for showing up for you today. And when you feel ready, we'll make our way into the second side of that more extended flow, putting it all together. We'll find our Utkatasana, bending through the knees, chair pose. Inhale the arms. Exhale, sweep them back. Another chance to let something go. Go with the flow. Maybe a sound. And then we're going to slow it down. Exhale, arms back. Maybe a little balance. Lift your heels, drinking bird. Exhale as you lower your heels. Inhale, right leg comes up in front, like our praying mantis, like our parachute here. Exhale, that curtsy shape we found earlier. Inhale, right leg comes up and around. Exhale, figure four. Inhale to lift. Big move. Exhale, stepping into the unknown. Trusting that gravity is here to support you, reading it, finding your balance. Inhale, 5-pointed star. Exhale, warrior two. And we pause. A moment of quiet internal space. Inhale, reaching away. Exhale, forearm to your left thigh. Right arm can reach up or overhead, and let it feel good. Inhale, reaching away long through your left leg. You might shorten your stance. Reaching upward, reverse triangle. And exhale into Trikonasana. Finding your way in to this beautifully geometric shape, very stable. Finding a point for your gaze. Being kind to your neck. Softening your gaze, softening through your left knee. Inhale. Exhale. Coming into low lunge. Right knee down. Balance play. Maybe lifting your left foot up. Experimenting with this shape. And then eventually stepping left foot down, maybe hands to heart, maybe right foot steps to meet, pressing into both feet. Inhale. Drawing arms up overhead. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift. And your choice of how you'd like to get to your downward facing dog. You might go right there, which is what I'm going to do today. You might find a flow through a cobra or an upward dog. Either way, we meet here. And then from downward dog, inhale through your right leg. We're coming into a half pigeon shape, drawing right knee toward right wrist. And then find your way in. So you can allow yourself to sink down. You can use a block underneath your right hip and give yourself a little bit of extra height and support for your hips. You might be on your back for a figure four once again, depending on your knee and ankle mobility or injuries. You might stay lifted, breathing into any areas of sensation. You might come into resting pigeon, forehead resting onto something, a block, your hands, the mat. And whatever your chosen shape, let yourself really enter in. As we slow it all down and have this opportunity to receive, to move into the surrender side of practice. You might scan your body here and notice if there's any unnecessary tension that can soften. Soften because you send your breath there. Soften because you let something unnecessary release out of your mind, out of your shoulders, your jaw, your hips. And then gently, lovingly walking yourself back up. And to shift out of this one, I'm going to invite you just to turn your body so that you are now turned toward your long left leg. And then finding a long spine here, letting yourself walk forward, and maybe finding a Janu Shirsasana seated head to knee pose. Now, in this posture, classically, forehead and knee make contact, and it's so beautiful to really deeply bend through your left leg and just support that to happen. So whether you're here or quite lifted, seeing how it feels to make some contact. And contact can even be with a bolster, with a block, with your hands. Now, obviously, everything is optional, but if you want to close your eyes here and allow this inward turn of your attention to support your senses, to soften vigilance or tracking of the outer world, so that you are truly just here for you. And this rhythm of going inward into the quiet spaces is ultimately what supports us to come back out and shine our light. If we don't gather it here, we deplete ourselves when we go into the expansion. So gather yourself onto yourself. And then from here, an invitation to lift up through your gaze, maybe reach your right arm around, and maybe you lift your hips and come into stargazer. Right? Just let your heart shine for a moment. Your gaze, your arms reach, bringing with you what you've gathered, letting your heart be bold and bright. And then settling right back in. And turning toward the front of your mat, meeting in downward facing dog. And we'll find that slowing down on side 2, sending your left knee towards your left wrist. And then anything that you need here to support a shape. Maybe you're on your back, figure 4. Either way, the next 2 shapes are that invitation to settle in and surrender into support. So you might take another moment or so, lifted if you're in pigeon, before folding inward. In the yogic journey, we have this guidance that the asana and the pranayama that we do in our movement practice, the breath work, is to prepare us to go toward stillness. And pratyahara is one of the limbs of the yogic journey that comes after movement and pranayama and breath. Pratyahara is the inward turn of your attention. It's the gathering of your senses. and supports your ability to sense and feel what's happening inside, so that our attention becomes more present to the here and now, to this breath, this moment. And that moves us into the next limb of practice, dharana, and focused concentration, one-pointedness, here and now awareness. And taking this inner focus with you as you come up to sitting, and then again shifting into your left hip as you turn towards your right leg. I'm just turning myself to be toward you. And then we have our invitation to come into this seated forward fold, this opportunity to once again fold in to yourself and quiet down, and head to knee, perhaps bending deeply into your right leg. So even as we drop into the quiet, we can sense that there's a difference between stillness and collapse. Can you sense that you can embrace this restful experience as nutritive rather than helpless or hopeless? Nutritive. Gathering the nourishment from the dark, moist earth. The way that supports a seed to eventually sprout, and a sprout to find the strength to make its way to the surface, toward the light. Trusting that you know the direction to travel. And then slowly lifting yourself up, reawakening through your gaze, receiving the light that is around you, that is here for you. Maybe you plant your left hand and you lift one more time, heart opening, throat opening, gaze opening, shining your light. Before quieting, settling, and receiving. Today, invitation is to close practice seated in quiet meditation. I will come a little closer. You are always welcome to return to Shavasana. You are always welcome to find a legs up the wall. Whatever your final shape is, receiving and embracing this moment as it is. As we move into dhyana, the seventh limb of the eight-limbed path. This is meditation, whatever shape your hands are in. Eyes can be open or closed. And as you receive your practice, I'll offer up the closing stanza from Andrea Gibson's poem, Shine. Yes, you are small. We are all as small as a single breath, but tied to the rest. We are all the life of the world, the pulse that turns rocks to pearls inside the darkness of their shells. So become the well where wishes are born. Become the bell that rings when even the birds refuse to sing. Become the wings that fly. And every time you're full of sorrow, every time you wake up crying, know that that is a perfect day to shine. And with gratitude, I place my hands at my heart center and a deep bow to the light and the darkness inside of each and every one of us, and the willingness to persevere. Namaste.